Hello guys and welcome to today's viability review. We're going to be going over Morrigan. Now Morrigan is this very assassin-like playstyle mage. I want to talk a bit about how she developed because I actually think that means a lot as a support in the meta. We are back on the Bay. We're actually one of the first teams to play Morrigan. We didn't pick Morrigan for this stealth initiation one-shot potential that I think players like Sirehose, Veneno developed. We went for like the transformation plays, right? If we had Saket, we would go Morrigan because we had a double Saket ult, and double Saket is insane. Just like Morrigan's one of her best transformations is probably Saket. And like Ravana is really good as well, and Kamasats and those kind of all-in guards, right? So that's why we picked Morrigan. Now then Morrigan kind of fell off a bit, but then Zeros came up with this build that you basically just one-shot off the invis. Now that's not possible anymore with how tanky everyone is, and that mages don't do that much damage. Like you don't have full one-shot potential because you can't really get rot of the hoodie. Now the reason why I'm mentioning this is then surely the meta should kind of go back to this transform meta where you're picking Morrigan if you want to transform into a good guard, and then you might as well pick her into the support role, right? Because if she's a support that can turn into anyone, she's surely the best support. It's not exactly the case at all because it's like a 1 in whatever like 160 seconds or however long the cooldown is. It is indeed 160 seconds at level 1. Let's go over her stats. She has pretty poor stats for like for a mage. It's pretty average, I guess. It's pretty normal. Very squishy. So there's nothing special and nothing to like talk about to him. Of course, mages have magical protection now, which actually matters. I believe Morrigan was one of the few mages that was actually bugged and didn't get the buff, but then got it after. How do you level Morrigan? On Morrigan support, you level your ult 2, 1, and then finally you're free. Let's go over her abilities real fast. Morrigan's passive is called Doomsayer. The third hit of Morrigan's hit chain will explode, dealing damage to all enemies within the range and weaken all enemies hit. Enemies affected by this will take additional damage over time. So they take 9% of the target's max HP, and it's a basic attack stim. And it's like 3 seconds. Now, it's pretty good for early game and push, but where it gets really insane is that it procs Hunter's Blessing. And it's working as intended right now, is what Hyris is saying. So that means they have no plans on removing this feature. This makes her super insane in support. She has insane early game, so it's honestly one of the best passives for support because she really wrecks with it. Like it's insane how much damage you do. Moving on to her first ability, Deadly Aspects. This is like her charge up stun that stuns in a cone. I guess it's like an upside down cone, or just a normal cone, I suppose. The stun is only 1 second and the range is pretty like low, and you need to be really up close. It's not the best support ability. I guess you can kind of compare it to an Ymir freeze that just goes the other way, if that makes sense. I think it's pretty hard to miss. I think it's easier to miss an Ymir freeze than miss a Morrigan 1, because you can flick the Morrigan 1, you can use it while moving, as Ymir's freeze is more stationary. Morrigan's 2 is called Dark Omen. Now this is this 2 where it has initial damage, and if you do magical or like any ability damage to the guard, it's going to blow up and do more damage. On minions it just goes through and does damage. Pretty good early on for the poke. Nothing to write home about later into the game. It's just a decent damage ability. It's very good for the early lane clear though, and I really value it. But it's not the best. It's like you can kind of compare it to like a Ganesha 1 or a FF Hammer without the stun again, those abilities. Now her freeze confusion. This is her invest, right? Her stealth. You gain 20 to 40% movement speed. The duration is 4 to 6 seconds. Now, I honestly think that Confusion is pretty okay for Morrigan support, right? Because you can kind of go into the backline and ambush. I think that's definitely how you play Morrigan support. You play this assassin-like style, where instead of relying on big damage, you're just relying on being able to kill the enemy ADC with the transformation. You can still play frontline if you want, like just stay as Morrigan and just face tank, which actually works. One thing you need to be aware of is if you transform into a guard without defense and you try and face tank right now, you're just gonna get completely smashed by a crit, which was still being built today. So it's okay as a support ability. It's a decent movement ability. It definitely helps you get out of a few like uptight situations sometimes. But yeah, her ult is called Changeling. obviously the biggest point. Now it has a 160 to 80 second cooldown, which is the big point here. Like, that's a long cooldown. It's really rough early on, and that's why I think you should level it as well. This ult has so many possibilities. It might be one of the best supports ult, I guess you can say. It's probably the best ult in the game, because you can just transform into a whole lot of guard. But Morrigan's kit in general is kind of weak if you don't build damage. Good pressure early, but late game it becomes pretty goddamn trash. You're all about the old late game if you're building a tankier build. So I'm gonna say, like, very good ult. Her abilities in general, early support, like early mid game, yeah, she works really well. Late game, she's probably the worst support. I would rather have a niche support. I don't know, something like that. So we're gonna talk a bit about the pros of Morrigan. We've already touched a bit on some of the pros. I definitely think she has one of the best early games. We had this in the third game I played. We got into a fight at level 1 and we completely demolished them. I missed a few basic attacks, and if I would have hit those, they would have died. One of them, I think Izanami, ended up dying eventually. But in general, like, I think that she's insane early game with Hunter's Blessing. It's a necessity to build Hunter's Blessing, absolutely, on Morrigan support, because what you are picking her for is pressure, and hopefully snowballing the game is so hard that you can just do whatever the fuck you want and win that way. So yeah, I think that's kind of how like her biggest strength, right? She has this huge early game, like it just comes up big. Huge early game. It's not really a word, but she has this really good early game. Changeling is also one of her big, like, strengths, her ult. That, like, you can be so unpredictable with the ult. I had a game where I turned into an Ares and got a 4-man Ares ult off, forced a few ults. It's honestly a really good engagement into the fight. You can turn into Zaket and blow someone up. You can try and turn into the enemy ADC and do some damage. It didn't work out too well for me. You can try and turn into Ram and look for snipes. I almost killed an Ares at one point. And then, yeah, that's kind of the only really annoying thing with Changeling is it's super buggy if you have it on instant cast, which means if you're trying to panic do it and you move your mouse cursor around, it might, like, go to another guard than the one you pre-selected. So you just need to stay calm and just press 4 twice, and hopefully it goes through. I'll just press 4, I guess. That's how it works. Otherwise you're gonna turn into another guard. I had a few times where I was like planning to turn into Fenrir, and then I just turned into Sobek and died, which was super sad. And one time where I turned into Fenrir where we wanted to double Rama snipe someone. It wasn't really too good. So be aware of that. But I think this ult has so much potential. Obviously, we are not the best. I'm not the best yet at all playing around the ult because I'm not a Morrigan pro. But yeah. Morrigan, another big pro is stealth engage. Being able to engage in the stealth form, getting up a stun on a carry should probably force the carry speeds. Now I think what a lot of Morrigan players do when they play her mid is you go in and you won, and then you ult, right? Like now you're already all in. I think if you play Morrigan support, you need to stay a lot more patient, because if you transform into, let's say, Zaket, I had one game where I kept transforming into Zaket in the first game where we lost, and I just got blown up. It wasn't good. I should have stayed in my Morrigan, right? Because I'm super tanky. If I can kind of wait for my next stun and then maybe transform, go ahead and do that. But that's one playstyle specific thing you should, like, really look to do. But her stealth engage is definitely one of her biggest and strongest pros as well. Like, just being able to move around in stealth is in general really good, especially on the new map as well. And again, we briefly touched it on the stealth part, but her pick-off potential is insane. I had a late game where I actually soloed. We soloed each other. I had Shiman. He was the big problem on the enemy team. Being able to go for a kill on someone that doesn't have beats, like find them in the enemy jungle, is a really unique thing that only Morrigan kind of can do. I guess and other assassins can do it as well, but no one does it as good as Morrigan. I guess Logi maybe, but Morrigan feels so safe as well because you have the transformation and you know you can really outplay the opposition. So I think this makes her super strong, that she has this late game pick-off potential. But talking about late game, I also think late game is the biggest weakness to Morrigan support. If you can't find these picks, if they have relics up, you are so useless. you're not annoying, right? Because you don't have phones. The ADC just kind of hits you. You don't really want to ult into someone useless. Like, you don't want to ult into someone tanky, like semi-tanky. And if you ult, you're just kind of gonna die. So it's pretty sad. I think Morrigan late game is very, very meh. It feels bad to play her late as a support because you don't have one shot potential. You don't have the big damage that's gonna ensure you that you're gonna get the ADC to 10% and then you can chase them down with your ult. You're gonna get the ADC to 75, 80%, and then the ADC can just kind of bob you. So it's pretty sad. Again, she's useless without her ult in the early game. That's one of her absolutely biggest weaknesses. It's almost a 3-minute cooldown, right? It's so insane how long that CD is for Morrigan. Like 160 seconds. That's like you go to their red buff or you defend your own red buff, you ult, and next time your red buff spawns, you won't have your ult and everyone else will. It sucks so much, honestly, and it really matters. So I think if you need to build CDR, you need to go ahead and like ensure that you put points into your ult so you get the cooldown down, because you can't go for the classic Chronos pendant build. I don't think it's gonna work out if you want to play her support. Then you might as well play her mid, or you might as well play another support character. She has very low CC. Again, she's reliant on her ult and her 1. You can say she has the biggest CC potential of any guard, I guess, except Changa with her ult, obviously. But that's just because Changeling, right? You can ult into anyone, but if she doesn't have her ult up, again, she's useless as a support, as in my opinion, unless it's early game, very early game, where you can like box with Hunter's Blessing regardless if you don't have the ult. But when you're around at level 9 or 10, you have a long period where you just feel useless without the ult until you hit like level 17, where your ult is on such a low cooldown that it doesn't matter. And then she's also pretty easy to kill when she's not ulted, honestly. Like, I don't think it's hard to kill a Morrigan. And these in the games, well, it is, right, if you have bad guards against it. But I was playing against, like, really decent players, honestly, who knew how to play against Morrigan. And they knew just hit random out in the air. I was playing against an Ares. And that was rough matchup, you know. Playing into an Ares was not fun, honestly. So I think she's super risky if she doesn't have ult. She feels squishy, even though you built her tanky. A big weakness Morrigan has as well is that she is horrible at sieging phoenixes, especially now. That's always been Morrigan's biggest weakness. How is Morrigan ever gonna siege a phoenix? She can't do her thing, which is like get a good transformation behind someone, or like, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna buy Blink and like Blink Hunt Battle? Then you don't have beats or Aegis. She can't go in and stealth kill someone. So that's always been Morrigan's big problem. She really needs her team to create space. Also, the Phoenix is like kind of shows where she is. So she's horrible at sieging, and it's even worse right now on the new map because you can't really get in between. So my experience with Morrigan is like definitely start off with Hunter's Blessing when it comes to build. I think the cooldown boots did okay, but I still think the movement speed boots are the best by far, because actually I'm not sure, like you can either go movement speed boots or cooldown boots. Don't go pen boots, don't go tank boots. You want like the movement speed for the movement speed, right, for the sake of staying alive, or you want or you want the cooldown for the ult in general. That's why you would get cooldown boots, is for the ult. Following up, I honestly didn't get to try it too much. I think the tanky version, if you want to build a full tank, you want to go still a bit hybrid. So you want to go like Thebes, Sovereignty, Voidstone, maybe Pyfax, and finish off with like situational item. It could be the anti-crit spectral armor, it could be Mantle of Discord, it could be whatever. I don't think Gem of Ice was going to work on her. I think that Chronos Pendant felt really horrible on her as a support. Wingblade was okay, but it's hard to build Morrigan as a support, honestly. I don't have that much experience, and I know this is kind of made to give you guys a build, but I guess my go-to build would be Hunter's Blessing, movement speed boots, Talaria boots, right, Talaria shoes or whatever they're called, into Thebes, into Soft, into Voidstone, into like Pyfax, into selling your Hunter's Blessing for like a situational item, right? That would be your go-to. But then again, it comes to me like for my games, is it worth it to give up a Morrigan for mid where she's just as insane with Hunter's Blessing and the pressure you can get there? Is it really worth it playing Morrigan in support? Now I think Morrigan is super fun, and I think she has potential if you can snowball early. Like, she's insane early, don't get me wrong. The first 10 minutes she's so scary even without her hold up, like, and from level 1 to 5 you just don't want to touch her. I think only lanes that can like kill her would be like an Amaterasu and I don't know, an Ulra or something. Like, she's super strong right now early. If you can survive the early game and don't give her too big of a lead and abuse her when her ult is not up, I think it's hard. And I think you need to know that as playing the Morrigan in support role as well. You want to make sure that you have your ult up before you fight, or at least that you are sure you can outbox the enemy with Hunter's Blessing, which I tried to do a few times. Sadly, I always got like cock blocked by a Jeb Shield or a meditation or whatever. So yeah, from my experience, if we kind of have to make a conclusion on this, it can definitely work in ranked where you can snowball games super hard. If you get really good at it, I think you can play with it well late game as well. But then again, I wouldn't see, why wouldn't you just play another support, another Guardian support role? Why wouldn't you play a Guardian that contributes with peel to the team? Because Morrigan has shit for peel. Like, she's just backline killer. She can maybe peel with the 1, I guess. It's a 1 second stun. It's not going to do anything to people with CCR. Why wouldn't you have a warrior like Saket and Nasha support that gets pressure early, but also are actually very like means something late game because they can build phones? I don't think Morrigan phones is gonna work out, honestly. It's just not. Do you see Morrigan running at someone with phones and it like killing someone? It's not ever gonna happen. So I think it feels bad because she's definitely a guard that meant to be full damage, and she is not able to build full damage in the support roles. But I think it can work in ranked. I think it can work in casuals. I think you can get into this really stumpy, dominate the first 10 minutes of the game, make the enemy surrender. So meh on my end. Like, you don't have this super tanky guard late game, and you don't have this like annoying front line. I don't have this damaging mate. She feels bad to me. In ranked, I definitely think it can work out. Try Hunter's Blessing. And I love Morrigan. I think she's super fun to play, and I would play her, but I just don't think she's good enough for me to like spend time practicing, if that makes sense. I had fun playing her today, and I'll have fun playing her in mid. But in support, I don't think so. Maybe I'll wait it out 1 or 2 games, try it, see if we can get any better. But yeah. Now in competitive, I don't think it's gonna work ever. I think if it's very team comp specific, it could work. Let's say you build your comp so you have 2, like Odin is one of her good transformations as well. Or it could be an Ares, it could be as a cat. Sure, if you pull something crazy off with like double ults, could work. But I think it's too comp specific and too unreliable, honestly. So my overall conclusion, Morrigan, fun guard, super good early on, but her late game is simply what drags her down. It's too bad. I dislike it. And I would way rather play pretty much any other card. It feels super useless. Yeah. But that's also pretty much going to make it for this episode of Viability Review. I hope you guys liked it on the Morrigan. If you did like this, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and press the bell. And who would you like to see next? Is there any guard where like, okay, I really want this? I know I've seen a lot of Tears, I've seen a lot of Afros, I've seen a lot of Chucks, but I wanted to do Mori today because I was kind of feeling Mori. But yeah, I definitely hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to like and all the things, and yeah, until next time, there's not much else to say then. Peace out.